Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday. I finally got live. YouTube's been a pain in my butt, but today we're going to talk about some economic news. There have been two stories that have broke recently specific to what's going on in the economy, and I want to share those with you along with just an overall economic review that I put together for you. I just have to find the thing I want to share, which I think is right here. We'll get this on screen and then we'll get rolling. But if you're out there watching, drop in the chat where you're watching from. Why can't I see my share? Hold on. Let's go here. Let's go here and share. Where are you? It just went away. I'll tell you what. We'll share the entire screen. And I will pull up the foreign direct investment stuff that I want to do with you guys. I can't see anything on my screen, though. Can you guys see? Can you see anything on screen right now? Let me know if you can see anything on screen because mine's not popping up for some reason. I don't know why. Good to see you all. I see New Jersey, the Bronx, Northeast Philadelphia, Queens, New York City at work. I'm glad you're taking time with me here if you're at work. Can't see it. One more try. One more try. And if not, I'll just roll with it without pulling it up. But I'd love to be able to share this with you so you guys can see what I'm looking at, what I'm talking about right here. Share. It should simply share, but it's not for whatever reason. So that's okay. Let's break this down. So today I want to talk a little bit about the state of the Dominican economy and what's going on with it and a couple of big breaking news items that popped up this week. So I'm going to be looking at my slideshow over here while I talk to you. The first is this. The president just announced that the Dominican Republic's financial assets surpassed 4 trillion with a T pesos. Now, if you want to do the conversion on that, it's about 700, a little under $700 billion. And what does that mean? That means that right now, the Dominican Republic's banking system has about $700 billion worth of cash on hand, loans out, mortgages, lending, essentially. Those are the assets that the Dominican Republic has. Not government assets, but assets within the banking system. 4 trillion pesos worth. In addition, the Dominican Republic announced that they have received almost 5 trillion, actually, yeah, $5 billion in foreign direct investments this year. For context, last year at this time was about 4.5 billion. This year is 5 billion. So why is that newsworthy from an economic standpoint? Well, when you think about the future of this economy, and I'm going to give you some more stats that we're going to talk about here in a second, the key to it is this. If you've got a banking system that's really well funded, which they are with $40 trillion or 40 trillion pesos worth of assets, about $700 billion worth of assets. And you've got this fuel coming in, this foreign direct investment. I'm going to go over the different sectors that it's coming into. That creates like a lendable economy. As things build here, the banks are capitalized, well capitalized, incoming foreign direct investment, outgoing loans and lending from banks to build and grow and create infrastructure and electric grids and everything else that's needed in the country. So those two things combined, to me, are like FDI, foreign direct investment, is the fuel, and then you've got the banking system's $700 billion worth of assets. That's essentially like the handouts locally to get things rolling, to really get this economy growing. So that's big news. But let's get a bit more of a snapshot on this. So I don't know why it won't let me share, guys, but I'm just going off my slideshow over here that I put together for you. I'll figure it out for next week. Real GDP growth. So right now, GDP growth in the Dominican Republic at the beginning of this year was projected to increase by about 5% by the end of the year. That's been modified. That's been modified down a little bit. So rather than 5% by the end of the year, the IMF and other sources are they're saying around 4. I think it's going to be slightly below 4% GDP growth this year, 3.5, 3.7, somewhere in that range. The world economy is just uncertain right now. Tariff policy, wars, the U.S. and all the up and down stuff that's happening there, the U.S. being the biggest economy in the world. So you are going to see a bit of a drop in GDP growth. Now, again, that doesn't mean negative GDP. That just means growth went from this to this. That's it. Simple as that. Not as much, but still a lot. 3.5%, 4% growth is still going to put DR in one of the top 4 or 5, maybe 10, let's say at max, growing economies in the world. That's a hell of a pace to grow. So the Dominican Republic's economy, when you look at foreign direct investment, banking assets, plus GDP growth, it's really positive so far. We're going to get into more things. So one of the fuels of growth is tourism. I really wish I could share. I'm going to try one more time to share this just to see if there's a way I can tab to share. It just won't let me. It just won't let me. I don't know why. Let me see one more thing. It's such a pain. And if I go here to share this, or even here to share my screen, I don't know why it won't let me share my entire screen. I don't know, not showing it. But if we look at one of the big drivers of GDP, it's tourism. So where is that right now? When you look at non-resident air arrivals, that's kind of the core, right? Cruises growing, resident arrivals do what they do, but non-resident air arrivals so far, pre-COVID, 2019 was about 6.4 million people, non-resident air arrivals. COVID dropped, obviously, and 2021 took some recovery. 2022 was 7.2 million, 2023, 8.1, 2024, 8.5. And so far this year, it's about 6.5 million non-resident air arrivals, on track to be around 9 million. And the country overall is on track to be a little over 12 million total arrivals this year. So it's really crazy, despite what's happening in the US, despite the wars in Europe or whatever, you're still seeing growth in tourism overall for the Dominican Republic. There are a few variables there. I was talking to a friend of mine the other night who's deep into this space. And there's countries like Argentina that are literally doubling the amount of people coming into the country this year. Countries in South America are coming in, more robustly. Even from Mexico, they're traveling here to the Dominican Republic. So while the U.S. is still the biggest travel partner, the biggest tourism provider of the Dominican Republic, the numbers are down a little bit, but they're being replaced and even increased by South America and other countries. Even Russia is starting to get to a place where they used to send, like 700,000-800,000 people a year. And now they're like 70,000 people a year, but that's increasing a little bit as things sort of, I don't want to say normalize, but as Russia and the Dominican Republic have conversations about Russian tourism here in the Dominican Republic. So tourism is on the rise still. And then lastly, I wanted to go through the foreign direct investment by sector. And really, tourism is huge. But one of the sectors that's growing a lot of investment from other places, foreign direct investment, is in energy. So lots of criticisms, and rightfully so, about the electric grid here. Lots of criticisms about energy independence here, for sure. But energy is becoming something that not only is a national priority if you're going to attract the types of businesses that want to come to free trade zones, but also you want to attract people moving here, which is becoming a bigger and bigger feature of life here. More and more people that I meet on a day-to-day basis aren't visiting, they're moving. It's the same kind of spaces and areas I bump into people, but a larger percentage that I meet today versus a year, 2 years ago, just moved here, or really just moved here, or are in the process of moving here. Not 5 years from now, but right now. So there's a lot happening in that regard. And this energy investment, foreign direct investment, it's over $1 billion worth of foreign direct investment in energy. We'll see. We'll see how it's appropriated. We'll see what happens with it. But there is a lot of investment in that sector coming into the country. Oh, one last stat. Sorry. The other thing I looked at, and then I'll form a kind of a conclusion of the total Dominican economy right now, is public debt. The public debt to GDP ratio currently is right around 48%. Now, there are other stats out there that put it closer to 60, but they're including other projected things. But real debt, all reputable sources show it around 48%. In fact, I think the IMF and there's another source, I'm looking for it right now, both put them right around that 48%. Here, and Dominicans generally, they get really uncomfortable with debt, with taking on debt as a country, and rightfully so. 48% in this measure is kind of the upper register of where debt should be before it gets a little bit wonky as far as being able to pay that debt back. And again, it's a percentage of GDP. So as long as GDP is growing, that's what the percentage is. If GDP ever fell, it becomes more of a problem. So you don't want to be so close to the line that, you're going to suffer in the long run without being able to pay the debt back. But at the same time, the debt level right now, by all economic standards, is healthy. A lot of people might debate the effectiveness of the administration in managing that debt, might be concerned about a bubble bursting or whatever, or an economic downturn or a worldwide economic collapse, and that creating a larger debt percentage. Some may not be comfortable towing the line. I get that. But just statistically and or factually, if you look across different sources, the current administration or the current government debt load is not unhealthy. It's at the upper register, but it's not unhealthy. However, I've learned, and some of you may be able to validate this, I'd be curious to hear if you agree with this, that debt in general, culturally, is not something that is, I don't know, accepted. It's a new sort of, well, there's a concern with it. There's a concern with taking on so much debt because of government corruption and many other things that in the past have gotten the country in trouble. But the current administration, if you look at the totality of like this whole thing, if you look at the whole picture, if you look at economic growth combined with political stability, combined with the trade wars and the movement of labor into a country like the Dominican Republic, it's sort of a perfect storm for economic growth. And you do need to take on debt in order to fuel growth in a developing nation. No different than if you have a startup that's getting traction. It's not perfect, but you infuse that startup with capital, whether it's investor capital or debt, so that you can continue to grow. It's short-term pain for long-term gain. And right now, because GDP growth has slowed, not gone the other way, but just slowed from like record pace to just below record pace and still very, very healthy, robust GDP growth, the government is seeing, okay, look, we've got an opportunity right now to go out and invest in the country, invest in infrastructure, and really stabilize this country moving forward into what will likely be at some point, a real a run up as far as value, as far as economic growth and everything else. Whether it's now, next year, the year after, we shall see. So that's what debt means to me. Debt is, hey, look, we're a country on the rise. We're going to need to take on some in order to fuel the growth that we're having right now. And I can tell you, just being in it, this is my local advantage. Just being in it. And there's a big spread, of course, of different ways people live and different ways people exist here. But just being in it, the economic growth, again, combined with all these other variables, is you can actually see roads right now. Go to Cortecito for that matter. Roads are being paved. Projects are being launched. Ambar Highway is being reinvigorated. I'm about to go to Santiago in a month from today, November 10th, to see what's going on up there. I'm going to be a guest of a guy named David who owns Camp David, not after his name. So I can just get a sense of Santiago. But everyone that's gone there recently, I haven't been there in a year, is like, dude, if you haven't been there in a year, it's a new world. The medical infrastructure, the road and monorail infrastructure that's coming, the mall, the hotels, the airport's about to go under a major renovation with a top-notch developer in the country. There's a ton happening in Santiago right now, as an example, including companies like World Emblem moving their labor from Mexico to the Dominican Republic. Just the way it's going right now. It's the moment that the Dominican Republic is in. So when I talk about debt, it gets uncomfortable for a lot of people. This is agnostic as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying debt good, debt bad. I'm explaining that I think debt needs to be taken on to grow. And the current debt level based on GDP is not unhealthy. It's not unhealthy. Upper register, it could tip to unhealthy, absolutely, if not managed well, or if GDP growth really tanks, but it's not an unhealthy amount of debt for the country. That's my take on it. So let's get a bottom line. Stable, investable, but not invincible, I would say, is the country right now. It's stable, it's investable, but not invincible. Inflation is right around the target for where it needs to be. Tourism is at record levels, and banks are really, really sound right now. All right, so just think about that top line. If you were to summarize, inflation is near target, tourism is at record levels, which is the number one industry, and the banks are really sound. 2025 growth is slower than 2024, so that's why it's not invincible, but it's still the base remains 4%-ish as a growth for GDP in this economy is amazing. And then the foreign direct investment is financing the external gap, the free zones and energy. All of that is being funded by foreign direct investment, and those free zones and energy are getting a ton of foreign direct investment right now, and those are some bright spots for the economy. What you see being built, I just went over there, and I'll be at an event at, I think I'll be at the event at the Zona Franca here in Punta Cana. Like, that ain't no joke over there. It's behind the airport. It's a full logistics hub. And look at it this way. They have essentially said, wait a minute, okay, we have an airport that flies to 40 different countries or 40 different cities around the world. Airplanes are big and they have a lot of room on them. The bags that you and I check are not that heavy. So there's space. So now the logistics hub, the Zona Franca behind the airport can say, all right, look, Delta, Wingo, American Airlines, whomever, you got space on your planes. We're going to pay for that space for you to ship cargo. So they can manufacture in the Zona Franca, stuff like semiconductors, medical devices, all of them manufacture or at least parts of these things. And then they've got access to the airport to directly ship on airplanes, on commercial airplanes, cargo developed here in Punta Cana. What's going to come with that? Honestly, there's some big jobs coming with that. So high paying technical positions, like real high paying jobs. And there are a lot of middle class jobs. In fact, in total, they're projecting 10,000 total jobs at this Zona Franca. When you think about it in the context of Punta Cana, are these jobs from an American's perspective high paying? Some of them, yes. Very few, but some. Most of them, Americans would say no. But if you're making $1,000 a month here, that's middle class. And you can afford to live a nice lifestyle here on $1,000, $1,500 a month, depending on the level of job that you have within that Zona Franca. So my point is a more robust middle class building here in the Punta Cana area is just one of those fuels for growth. So when you see these things, the direct investment in Zona Franca and the ability for them to use the airport as a logistics hub, it's game on. And we're so close to Miami. We're so close to the United States border. It's very easy to do all of this. And then public debt, right around 46, 47% of GDP. That is, again, as a risk. It's not unhealthy now, but the credit rating for the country, Moody's, still has it sub-investment grade. It did improve. It did go up. And they cited a lot of the things I just talked about: political stability, growing GDP, all of that. But it's still investment grade. So there's still some room to go there in terms of stabilizing the public debt market here in the Dominican Republic. But lots and lots of upside. I did want to touch one other news item, and then I'm going to go to your comments. If you have questions or thoughts or anything you want me to discuss, let's go into it. Just drop it in the comments, and I'll be happy to go into that. There was a post going around, and this would be huge news. It would be huge news if it were true. There's a post going around saying that the Dominican passport now is able to be, you're able to visit Europe visa-free on the Schengen passport, like with the Schengen nations. Essentially, the Dominican passport is approved for travel within Europe. That post is going around. A lot of people have seen it. From what I've seen, I can't find any reputable source to say that's true. I believe it's confusion around the biometric digital passport that is being developed right now, or that was rolled out recently. It's already there at Punta Cana Airport. The biometric passport shows, like, Europe, Schengen nations, that this country is modernized, that this country is on the path to, the type of country they would want to allow visa-free access into Europe for. But the other side of that is some countries in the Caribbean that were able to get Schengen passport access, they had very low, if any, standards for investing to get a passport in that country. So, for instance, I think it was either Dominica or Vanuatu, I think it is. They had Schengen access. So they made it pretty easy to get Dominica passports so that whoever wants to can get that and travel throughout Europe. And that's not the right element. They have a lot of money laundering, criminals, all of that are going to do that, get their passport, and then travel Europe on a Dominica passport, for instance. So the European Union is a little bit suspect about just kind of giving up a passport. They think they just removed a couple of Caribbean nations Schengen access. But the Dominican Republic is showing a few things. One, high standards for citizenship. Two, that they're modernizing their system, which aligns with like where the world is going. And three, they're already in talks and have been in talks. And there are a number of countries like Italy, Germany, so on, that have already said, yeah, hey, we'd be okay with DR coming on board as a Schengen partner, meaning being able to travel visa-free on a DR passport. You get that. And if DR is smart and protects that, then this becomes, again, another reason why DR has exponential growth going into the future. So those are all of my thoughts on it. Again, there's nothing to say that, it's all sunshine and roses, that there's not poverty, that there's not some infrastructure issues, that there's not electric grid issues. All of that is true. But just if you look at a snapshot today of the economy, which I wish I could share the screen show with you, I'll have to figure this out for next week. Somebody said use OBS. I hate OBS, but maybe I'll use StreamYard. If you look at the snapshot of where we are as an economy here in DR, it's pretty positive. It's pretty positive. It's hard to argue that there's not positive movement. So let's see what we got over here in the comments, then we'll dive into it. So I see where everybody's from. Argentina debt ratio is 85%. There you go, Gio. I think debt to GDP is bogus. Shouldn't countries measure debt to tax revenue? DR tax revenue GDP is like 15%. Luis, that's a fair point. Tax revenue is the number one thing that needs to be modified. What's the word? Reformed here. And it's going to be very uncomfortable. No matter how and when it happens, it's going to be very uncomfortable for people in general. But in order to improve credit rating and therefore restructure debt and have more foreign direct investment, which is all important for the economy. Some people don't like, wow, we don't want other countries investing. Like, you grow or you're dying. That's how life is. That tree behind me is either growing or dying. That's nature. The same as with a country and an economy. It's either growing or dying. So it's going to grow, and there's already proof of that, right? So I think that ship has sailed. The idea that DR should be untouched and left alone. Like, DR is going to grow. But in order to do so, they need a much broader, robust tax base, specifically more formal labor, meaning on the books labor, which means they're going to have to incentivize businesses to want to be on the books with their employee base. They're going to have to give the types of incentives that make them want to do that. They're going to have to go out and really go after evaders, tax evaders. That's going to be a big deal. All of that is going to be how that happens. But that's a fair point. Debt to tax revenue is a good measure. Let's see. One of the main barriers to economic growth is high cost of local borrowing. Shai, it's fair. And again, we get into the I just mentioned credit rating. It's not as if, a lot of people think like, oh, interest rates came down in the United States, therefore mortgage rates track with it. Not necessarily. I just got a mortgage. I recently just got a mortgage, and I was amazed, and I'll do this on another video, how without even needing to give anything back, they approved my mortgage at a certain percentage. And then with just one question from my mortgage broker to the bank, without me saying, well, I'll do this in exchange for this, they said they dropped the rate. And I was like, oh, that's cool. How much? They dropped the rate 1 full point. 1 full point. Think about that. That's huge. Not a quarter point, not from 5 to 4.75, but imagine going from 5 to 4 just by asking. From talking to the mortgage brokers, these two ladies that I worked with, and they're in you click, I have one link below for all my referrals. You can get a referral to them if you want to. But from talking to them, when the Fed rate drops and then the future Fed rate continues to come down to the United States, the US dollar products here will track with that to some extent. So there might have been some confidence that we'll drop at a full point because we see the trend in the US. Plus, the central bank here, their rate, the Fed rate here is about 5.5%. So, there's a decent spread on what I'm paying, which is more than 5.5%, well more than 5.5%, and what the Fed rate funds are here in the Dominican Republic. But yeah, what was the question on this? It was debt to GDP is bogus. I forget where I saw it. Macro indicators are positive. That's true, Shai. Maybe it was Shai that said something, but I missed it. Taxing is a big problem. We have way too many informal employees. Gio, 100%. 100%. We talked about that a little bit. A lot of Dominicans in the diaspora are now retiring to DR, coming with a lot of US dollars. I went to the Latimar project. You guys familiar with Latimar? Have you heard about this, Latimar City? I went up there finally and visited. I've known the CEO and the lead sales guy for a while. And I wanted to see when they started something, and they're starting up there. So I went up and visited. There'll be a video on YouTube coming. And one of the things I always ask, and I'm going to reply what he told me at Latimar, but it's the same thing every developer tells me, every agent tells me, everything. Most of their customers, most of their buyers are coming from, multiple places, but specifically the United States. Spain's a big buyer right now, Venezuela, there's some South American countries, but the United States is huge. But within that, 80% of those buyers from the US are Dominican. It's one of the things I rail against when people say to me, you're living in Punta Cana, it's all expats. It's like, yeah. However, most of those expats have Dominican roots, right? So it's like, it's still like when I look around, I hear the narrative on YouTube looking into my life from afar. And then I look around my life and I'm like, all these people are Dominican. They come with accessories like me, very bright, light-skinned, bald men like myself, like my wife, right? My wife comes with an accessory like me. But if you think about what's happening, many are either couples that are Dominican, so therefore their kids are fully Dominican, even if they grew up in the United States, or it's one partner versus the other, and their kids are part of the Dominican culture. So my kids are growing up more Dominican than American, if that makes sense. In fact, my younger kid, we say he was 4 when he moved here. He is at this point consciously Dominican. He doesn't remember anything about the US, right? Everything he's known has been here. And granted, we're in Punta Cana. It's a bubble. It's a little different. It's a unique spot in the country, but it's not so unique that there's no culture here. I always rail against that. That's just my take on that. But But yeah, that's my take on the diaspora moving down here. You're absolutely right. Latimar said 80% are Dominican. Every project I talk to, every developer, every real estate agent, yeah, most of my clients are Dominican American. Which really, what's cool about that is think about how successful Dominican Americans are. Right? They're sending remittances. They're buying property. Like, I mean, what an incredible group of people. What an incredible, I don't know, just this the work, the management of money, the culture. It's incredible. Let's see. Mr. DR says, so you list all the reasons for a down world economy without saying, just Trump. But 5 of 6 things you do list are all Trump. Interesting. Sure. I'm going to rail. I'm going to rail against this a little bit. You all are too fucking obsessed with Trump, period. If you live the way I live, or if you live by the mindset that I live by, nobody is responsible for my success or failure other than me. Trump can do some things, and then you got to pivot. If you want to be a victim to Trump, then you're welcome to be. I'm not. There's things that Trump has done that are excellent. Excellent. There's things that Trump has done that are terrible. What I'm seeing happening with immigration in the country is like, it's twofold. It was a mess, and a mess needs to be cleaned up. And unfortunately, cleanup is messy. At the same time, like, there's way more humane and sensible ways to go through the population of immigrants and figure out, like, the ones that are paying taxes and are upstanding citizens. Like, come on, why are they living in fear? It's ridiculous. But those that have been in any way, shape, or form, have engaged in criminal activity in the United States, I get it. Again, complicated issue, complicated response. But I don't care if Trump is 5 out of 6 things. I don't care if Biden was. Look, I'm going to go on record with this. I'll tell you this right now. In my lifetime, and I've lived since 1978, Jimmy Carter years, even though I was too young for it, Biden is the worst president that this country's ever had, period. But I thrived through the Biden years. Why? He took away bonus depreciation. You may not know what that is, but in the multifamily space, that's a big tax write-off. I pivoted to something else. Trump is not to blame for your or my prosperity, not for the world's woes. Trump's policies impact, but you got to pivot. And DR's pivoted. They've gone to Russia. They've gone to the South America. Like, I don't get the Trump obsession. I really don't. But when you cross that border into U.S. territory, like left, right, Trump good, Trump bad, like, y'all are crazy. And I couldn't see it until I left the country and looked back in. That's my rant. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But Mr. DR, that wasn't like, I'm not going after you. I'm just saying, like, man, you got to get out of that mindset, man. Like, it doesn't help you. Like, tell me how that helps you. Tell me what that does for you. 5 out of 6 things, Trump did it. Trump. How does that help you? I want to know that. If you can explain how blaming Trump helps your life and your status and what you're doing in your life, I got to know how, because maybe I'm missing the boat. Maybe I do need to be more, I don't know. Maybe I need to be victimized more. If there's a way that victimization creates success, I'm agnostic. I'll take it. I just don't know of a way. Never have. What are your thoughts on that, everybody? I want to hear what you think. Drop it in the comments below. One of the main barriers to economic growth is high cost of local borrowing. Oh, we talked about that. Thank you, Shai. Mr. DR, you need to understand debt cycles, economics, in order to understand that there isn't Trump. It's simply the U.S. and every political party for the last 50 years. Raphael, it's really, really well said. Really, really well said. There are cycles. I mean, look, presidents create policy. Policy creates impact. And Trump has been, he's been extremely active, whether you like him or not. He's been extremely active, more than most presidents to this point in his term. But yeah, anything that's happened now, like, it's so funny to me. Like, you can look at today's or the recent inflation through Biden, and people are like, oh my God, it's such a new thing. It's like, go back to Carter. It's the same thing. Like, history repeats itself. Like, there's not been something new, truly. Not even COVID. There was the Spanish flu, right? It was a new way of handling it, more government control, all that stuff. But man, there's a ton there. We got Sergio Carlo. We got a celebrity in the house. Look, it's Jamie, he says. Sergio, I got to get StreamYard. He told me to get StreamYard. He texted me the other day and said, I think he said, douchebag, get StreamYard. Something like that. Gosh, I complain, machine. We don't think we follow you. What are you doing? This guy's insane. He's probably sitting in his house. It's not too far from here, just like in his underwear, had his radio show this morning. Too funny. It's funny, man. Sergio, I was going to ask you if you were interviewing the ambassador today, but it was the wrong radio station. I think it was 95.7, the new U.S. ambassador, Leah Campos. I assume that you will be though, because you're a beast. If you guys don't know Sergio Carlo, you should follow his stuff. I'll give you a quick snapshot of Sergio Carlo, his content in 3 seconds. Ay Dios mío, coño. That's it. That's his whole content. That's all Sergio Carlos content. And I've told him that to his face. He's like, yeah, pretty much. Let's see. Now retiring, we talked about. GDP can be used in 2 ways. If you look at the US right now, apparently there is a 4.5% growth. My understanding is 4% is AI tech, perhaps, Stan. I'm not sure. I know like in the jobs market right now, it's all healthcare. Like whatever jobs are being created, all healthcare. When are you doing a video on Pueblito in Cana? I did, Moose. I did one, but I did it. So I have this inner circle. Created this inner circle because a lot of people wanted to meet, wanted to ask questions, and I don't have the capacity to. So I created this thing. It's $9 a month, right? And hey, we've got this really cool, robust WhatsApp community broken up by area. Like, you want to talk about Punta Cana, want to talk about Puerto Plata, all that stuff. And I release exclusive content. So I broke into an apartment in Pueblito just so we could view it, but I put that into my private inner circle as exclusive content for them. There's a link below if you guys are interested in exploring it. It's just a link to show you like what it's all about, what we do in the inner circle. But here's 3 cool announcements I'll give you, and then I'll move on the inner circle. One, if you're an inner circle member and you use the attorney I refer, he'll give you 5% off legal fees. If you're in the inner circle and you use the insurance broker that I use, you'll get 10% off select products. Like we just got our house quote. He gave us 10% off, save $500 on my house insurance here in Punta Cana because of the inner circle discount. And then thirdly, I've got 2 so far restaurants on board 100%. We're creating the QR codes right now. If you're an inner circle member, stay tuned. Locally, that will give you 10% off food. One of them says, I'll give them 10% off everything. Alcohol. I'm like, you do what you got to do. I'm only promising 10% off food. So it's uniform. But the point is, I want it to not just be, here's some bonus content. Here's a great community. We're doing monthly in-person events. Next one's October 23rd here in Punta Cana. I'm doing one in Santiago for the inner circle specifically, but also I want to make it financially beneficial for you. For $9 a month, I want you to be like, this is a no-brainer. I save money at restaurants, on my insurance. I save money with legal services. So that's my goal with the inner circle. That's what I do. Yanetti, I appreciate it. Great to see you. You should get an email in the next 20 to 30 minutes. Check your spam, check your promotions. People message me like, hey, I didn't get the email. I'm like, to check spam, like, oh, crap, there it is. So just look for that. I'm from a different country, but see the same numbers here. The GDP isn't rising because of work or wages. Interesting, Stan. I appreciate that. Caravito, thank you. I like that. I should get a t-shirt, Caravito, with my bald head in the middle of it. Maybe a Christmas thing I drop. I feel so happy when I hear people like you talking about the benefits and positive qualities of the Dominican Republic. I'm glad, Antonio. Look, there's something to be said for that. As I've created content more and more, I've gained confidence in this. Like, it used to be said to me like, oh, you're too sunny and positive. And I'd be like, well, no, I try to be balanced. And then I would honestly intentionally go out and do like balanced content, like just because I don't want to be perceived as like just, selling stuff. But then I'm like, wait a minute, I know me. I don't take $1 for anything you guys see to promote or talk about something. Like I go to a restaurant, I pay for that restaurant, and then I do a reel because I just want to show the world and all of you the beauty of this area. Like that's it. So I don't take any money. So I know that about me. Number 2, there are plenty of people out there, American, Dominican, you name it, that'll give you all the bad stuff about DR. There's plenty of them. And what I've learned from interacting with a lot of you is what's missing is somebody that's not just going to, oh, look, it's a beautiful palm tree and the resort is great, but that's going to look at some of this stuff at the macroeconomic level, look at real estate and say, hey, look, yeah, here's an example, the bubble argument. The whole thought about, oh, there's a bubble coming, a real estate bubble. Here's my response to that. It's always like, of course. What trend line historically in any economic field, stocks, bonds, real estate in any country has ever just done, let me see if I can do it paper. This, now that's not working as well as mine, but like just straight line up. When has that ever happened? Never. You see it bouncing around and as it goes up. 08 crashed, right? It was a crash, but I bet you your property post 08 is worth more today than it was then. Markets rebound. So when people say you're too positive, it's like, no, I'm just honestly kind of like realistic. One, I love it. So you see my love coming through. I love living here, love the country, love the culture, love the people. And I feel as though I'm integrated, not trying to do anything that's, bad for the country. 2 is that all bubbles burst, but then those bubbles refill and usually bigger over time. And then you know what? They're going to burst again. So when people talk about downtown, which I say downtown Punta Cana right now is a bubble, it's absolutely a bubble. Lots of inventory coming online. And then people are realizing they can't Airbnb it as much as they thought, and they want to sell what they do have. You got all this inventory, not enough demand, and people aren't thinking about, again, blame Trump. They blame Trump or blame whomever. Instead, I go, well, long-term rental is probably a good play there. Or if you can hold it downtown, there's a lot of commercial development. There's a master plan coming. Like there's a future there. It's not going to be perfect. They don't plan things well here. They do it after the fact. All the stuff that's happening now, infrastructure wise, should have been done 10 years ago, probably. Many of you would know better than me in that regard. But the point is, like, it's not going down. I think there's this image like bubble bursts and then there's moss growing on the entire Punta Cana or Dominican Republic area. And it's like, no. So my optimism is simply be going like, sure, there's a bubble that's going to burst. But I'll tell you what, if you're like me and you are a long-term hold guy, the people who said when Trump, again, blaming Trump, when Trump lost $4 trillion in 401ks, like, oh, there's your Trump. It's like, you're looking at like today. Why don't you look at like historically? Because even if you lost a bunch in your 401k on whatever day that was in March when he announced tariff policy, if your first investment was in 1995 and you're coming close to retirement, you're like 600% up. So today you're like 580% up versus 600, like long-term trends, people. So if I come across as positive, I am. I love it here. I think there's more good than bad in this country. But also, all of what I just described. So that's that. Let's see where we go here. Hi, Jamie. One of the most valuable assets is political stability. One of the most stable in the region. Look what happened to Peru since yesterday. I haven't seen Peru. I have to take a look and see what happened there. Major concern not often acknowledged. DR is the highest interest rates for borrowers in the Caribbean and parts of the Latin America. 12 to 18% is the norm. That's unreasonable. Killian, I get you. Here's one other perspective. I just got this yesterday, so this was like new to me. A decade ago or maybe longer, it was really easy to get like a bank account. Today, it's a pain in the butt. But as the Dominican government has said, we have to kind of like fight laundering. We have to fight, bad debt. We have to fight against, the types of predatory behavior that could tank our economy. They've gotten tighter and tighter on opening a bank account, on lending. And, as a guy who just went through all of that, a lending process, I wanted the bank to fall through the earth that it sits on that I was initially working with. Thankfully, another bank came through a broker. However, after a conversation I had yesterday with somebody who's been here like 30 years and is well embedded in the banking and financial markets here, I had a new appreciation for why DR is so, stringent on these things. At the same time, the service, I think, the customer service is where the issue is. It's like, if it's explained, if I heard that before, I would have had a new perspective. But when it's just like, you should understand that it's going to take the amount of time I want it to take or that it needs to take, that's where we as Americans, I think, get a little bit like, what the hell? Why is it so bad? But I don't disagree. They're high. But at the same time, if you look at countries like Jamaica is simple lending, easy lending. The value of their real estate is far outpacing that society's ability to keep up with it. And I think that creates an intersection with an economic catastrophe more than the tight lending here. If everything's paid off or there's very little lending, I don't know. I think that's a better place to be overall, a conservative economic environment. One of those valuable assets, we talked about that. From Ohio to Cabarete. Oh, amazing. Salty air. Do you think tourism will fall as the world economy slows in 2026? Robert, it's so hard to say. World economy is an interesting term. I would have thought after the economic turmoil that happened in the beginning of the year with tariff policy that you would see a dip here. And here's what's funny about the Dominican Republic. And I'm learning this, guys. 3.5 years in. I'm learning this. If Sergio's still out there, he could comment on this. I see what he means by I'm a complaint machine, because I was talking about stop complaining about Trump. Yeah, but Sergio, it's good content. You make good content, so keep doing it. But what I'm learning about this country is it doesn't act like the U.S., and I think we want it to, or we expect it to. In the U.S., it's like when one's down, it's down. Here, when one's down, another comes up. So like I mentioned before, Argentina has become a big player visiting here. And what I learned about Argentina is they stay longer because it's a long flight. Aerojet has an 8-hour flight. They stay longer, like 10 days on average, and they spend more. So not only is a country like Argentina doubling and it's not like it's going from like 250,000 to 500,000 people coming here this year. not only are they doubling their influx into the Dominican Republic, but they're staying longer and spending more than, say, some other countries. Tons of Brazilians coming here, tons of Venezuelans coming here, or from different parts of the world, and Americans are still coming. So to answer the question, I mean, the only time that the Dominican Republic saw a real drop in tourism was when the world literally shut down during COVID. Even through '08, dip, but not a tank, man. Like, and here's the other part I should share, and people may not like this, is what it is. The Dominican Republic has made, especially in the Punta Cana area, and actually even on the North Shore in Rio San Juan and Puerto Plata is going this route, is making a concerted effort to upmarket their offerings, to go more on the luxury, the higher end sector. And I think that's really smart for the country for a couple of reasons. One, they spend more. They just do. Two, crises affect them less. It's sort of like when you're in sales, and I've done some sales consulting. And so sometimes it's like, oh, I got this product I'm going to sell for $100. And it's like, well, based on the value, you could price it at 1,000. It's like, oh, that's too much. Yeah, but the amount of effort and the type of people you attract at 1,000 to make the top line be what the top line is, it's way easier than at 100. And I think it's the same sort of thing. So you may see numbers drop, but if luxury, if you're seeing the luxury sector still wanting, or now wanting to come to DR with golf courses, what's happening in Rio San Juan, in Cabrera, I mean, there's some real luxury in this country, like ridiculous luxury. Some don't give it credit for that. Your economic influx, dollars, may be limited in loss, even if you lose some people, even if you lose the low-end tourists. That'll affect the reuse, that'll affect the sort of more like inexpensive, all-inclusive resorts for sure. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know that that's such a bad thing from a standpoint of what this economy wants to do. Meaning, I don't think local Dominicans, people like Frank Ranieri, who's heading up a commission to really move the country forward economically, people like that, I don't think they see that as a bad thing. They may see that as like, well, yeah, we want to upmarket. We want to be a more luxury destination. So we'll see. It's going through a pivot. Sosua is a great example. If you guys see what's happening in Sosua, same thing. You got these people coming online and saying Sosua is dead. Look, I could show you. And it's like, yeah, again, we're zoomed in on the micro, right? We're zoomed in on this. If I'm the Dominican government or the Dominican Republic, I'm saying, okay, over here, you got Punta Bergantine going in, Gruber Punta Cana funded project, really, really nice. Vin Diesel, TV studio or movie studio, all that stuff. Over here on the other side, you've got Rio San Juan Cabrera, Alex Rodriguez, his team coming in, $1 billion investment, Playa Grande golf course, DJ Khaled coming in. Like, you've got all of this. And then in the middle, you've got this reputation that you don't want. So they went in and cleaned it. And look, I'm newer to the country, but from everyone talking up in that area that have been around a while, they'll even say, like, this is different. There's been raids before, there's been cleanup before, but this is different. The conspiracy theorists, and maybe they're right, are saying government is tanking it so that they or their friends can buy cheap real estate and build it back up. Sure, maybe. I don't know. But the net effect, no matter what, and as an investor, you should keep an eye up there, because I think prices are already starting to drop as people are starting to realize, like, my business isn't going to go well. I better sell this at the price I can get right now. It's going to be lower than what I thought it could be. That area will convert. That area will convert to luxury. In 10 years, what you see in Sosua, in my belief, is going to be next level compared to what it's always been. So that's an example of going up market. Like, every indicator that I see in this country is a clear intention to cater to a higher end clientele, not isolate the middle-class clientele, but cater to a higher end clientele like they've never been able to before. That's my take. I'd be curious to hear your take on this. Jamie, what is your take on the development in Vista Cana? I think Vista Cana is I just did a video called The Worst Investment You Can Make in Punta Cana. And it centered around a specific strategy within Vista Cana, which is Airbnb. Here's what I'll say. I think Vista Cana has finally, it's been around since like 2005. It's finally hit its stride. I think they were really smart to embrace an identity of a residential community: school, gym, pharmacy, clinic, grocery store going in, mall going in, La Nube at the front. Smart. If you go inside, they're building a sports center, 2 artificial beaches. They have golf. They want it to be a real community. So I think Vista Cana has a ton of upside. If you're buying there to Airbnb, I think you're making a big mistake. Even if it does well now, there's really only like 2 projects completed there. When there are 30 projects completed there, I don't think Airbnb is the play. It's more of a living space. long-term rent or own to live or both to some extent is the way to play Vista Cana. But I'm a big believer in the future of Vista Cana. It's not perfect. There's some things that they didn't plan for, they could do better with, but that's the deal. Jamie, does your wife approve these lives? She does, Sergio. She does. She approves everything. I should be Calvito with the H for the correct gringo pronunciation, I guess. I think he's drunk. He had his radio show. Now he's drunk. Speaking of Santiago, there's construction happening everywhere you look, and the city is growing so rapidly that it will soon swallow Mocha. Yeah, I'm going to see it soon, man. But like, even the guys I talk to up there, they say the same thing. I've been living in the USA for the past 22 years, Nelson says. I've been looking for a way to return to my country. I have several investment units in the Massachusetts area, but having issues with job switch. All right, Nelson, I'll do a little something here. I'll do a little something. I'm reading ahead to some of these comments. I think you have to start thinking differently about jobs. For the Inner Circle, I just filmed a video reacting to another video, which is the absolute best I've seen about the impact of AI in the future. And at the same time, how I see the current state of the Dominican Republic actually thriving in an AI-generated society in the next 3 to 5 years. Won't get into all of that, but here's what I'd say. I wouldn't be looking for a job. I'd be looking for a way to earn fees, to earn sales commissions, to earn income from an entrepreneurial endeavor. Jobs, man, if we are training our kids on the traditional track to get a high school diploma, get a college degree, and go get a job, you are setting your kids up for failure. That's what I believe. What I would do instead with my kids and with yourself is, rather than look for another job, look for a way you can add value to the market. Look for a way to create intellectual property or IP that's you and human and relatable. Look, the Inner Circle, that is in one way a reaction to a request from a lot of people. And in another way, it is what the future is desiring, which is going to be intellectual property, like an American dude living in DR sharing his experiences authentically, loved and hated, sometimes by the same guy, by Sergio. He loves and hates me all at the same time. It's a weird relationship, but loved and hated, fine. But there's a craving for community around that topic. So the future is going to be brand. The future is going to be super niche. It's not about getting 1 million subscribers or 100,000 views. If you've got 5,000 people that love geeking out on, wallets, and you form a community around wallets, then there's a niche for you. And there's sponsorship dollars, and there's affiliate incomes. There's a lot of money there for you. So I wouldn't be focusing on a job. It's just, we have to get our minds out of that. The industrial era is over. We are in the digital era fully. And I don't believe in AI is going to kill us all and all that stuff. I mean, anything could happen. But again, more optimistically, I would say, look for ways to earn income that's not reliant on somebody else's structure. Hope that helps, Nelson. Travel POV, what up? Good to see you, Raphael. Back to work. Oh, come on, man. Could have stuck around for a little while longer. My work is not able to transfer remote. Making above 120. I get it. Nelson, the other thing that you can remember is, if you have your own business, you don't need to make 120 just to net the same amount per year. Jamie, give me money, bro. Sergio, you rich celebrity. Come on, man. Like, you got to send some dollars over here. I just got a mortgage and I have kids. You're over there just drinking at noon on a Friday. I need your money. I need some Sergio money. Gio, Nelson Hernandez, not even with pay cut. If you're making 120 and you have no debts in the U.S., you can leave. Yeah, there you go, Gio. Even more so, right? You can make less and you can spend less here for sure. I understand that the bidding of the new Ambar Highway between Santiago and Puerto Plata took place in August. So the only news I heard is that it is back on, but I don't have anything beyond that. Jamie Gruber, were you bullied? 4th grade, Sergio. 4th grade. Wasn't pretty. I moved from Long Island to upstate with a Long Island accent, and the kids upstate didn't like that accent. So I got mercilessly bullied. I lost the accent. When I moved upstate, this is what I sounded like. Hey, let me ask you something. You got a dog? That's what I sounded like. Can I ask you something? They kicked that out of me in 4th grade. So still have some trauma from it. So thanks for asking, Sergio. We're getting ready to go to Punta Cana tomorrow. Oh, Roland, welcome to Punta Cana. Amazing. Ambar Highway is a 100-year project, Doug said. How likely is it for people to rent Airbnb or short-term rental in DR, since all-inclusives are relatively affordable in DR compared to other? Yeah, it's not about affordability, Sadul. I would say this: beachfront or near beach, like walking distance, 5-minute walking distance to beach. Airbnb is popular. There's more of an appetite for the traveler, and you can see this in the stats, to go places and experience it locally, as opposed to just being, barricaded in a resort where they tell you don't leave. resorts still dominate, but there's right now, I think 14 to 15,000 new hotel rooms coming online, hotels, some resorts, some non, because this country has become a destination for travel. And then within Airbnb, there's been some recent data showing that in-country Airbnb usage, like if you're in Santo Domingo, you want to go to San Cristobal, or you want to go to Jarabacoa, or you want to go somewhere else, like those Airbnbs are doing really well, like mid-country because of inside country travel, which says two things. Airbnb has a big future here still. And two, you could see what I talk about. Like there's more prosperity in this country than many want to give it credit for. There's a stat people always create, like 70% of the country's in poverty. It's like, no, 20% and 4% are in extreme poverty. 20% is 100K plus type of earner, like rich. And then everything else is in the middle. There is a middle class here. It just doesn't feel like a middle class when you hear, $1,000 to $2,000 a month, but that's a middle class right now in the Dominican Republic. Always hope for more, but it is what it is. Antinote, exactly, Nelson. He's just down here trolling me. I don't know if he's still here. Sergio, you got to comment if you're still here. I don't know if you're still trolling me. So true on Sosua. Appreciate that travel POV. The next time on the island going to visit Sosua. Yeah, check it out. Right now, from what I see, it's a ghost town. But there's a big future there. You have to have vision. You really do. You have to be able to look at that and say, I see what this is going to be. I'm glad they removed the sex workers in Sosua, and I hope they can once again become a family-oriented place like it was in the 80s. That's the direction. And honestly, the sex worker thing, so people get like, well, it was an industry, women had a choice, da, 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 da. It's like, there's so much trafficking in that industry. And it doesn't, look, let's not be naive. It doesn't just like disappear and women are like, oh, well, there that goes. I'm going to go work in a call center now. It goes somewhere else. But for it to be ostracized, for it to be stigmatized, I think is a good thing. It's good for the country. It's good for the people. That's my take on it. I'm glad they removed the sex work. Also a church in Poblito. That's cool. Yeah, they have a bunch of stuff going on there. Jamie, hope you're doing great. Bought a penthouse for the wife in the capital. How is it compared to Punta Cana in value? Bought a penthouse for the wife in the capital. Depends on where. Like in Piantini, I was at the World Trade Center, and those places were like $500K for a one bed. It was insane. That wasn't a penthouse either. So it depends on where. Punta Cana overall is higher in value just because it's a very international area and it's growing for living. There's tourism, of course, but what people don't understand is that there's a massive and growing like community here of people, mostly Dominican. So that's crazy. What are your thoughts now about Larimar? You'll see on my new video when it comes out, Ludovina. There's a tease for you. And I share it in my inner circle, another tease. There you go. That's how I'm going to get you to say, like, I got to be in this inner circle. It's so cool, guys. Like my wife is super involved. She's always telling me like, hey, there's a lot of comments. You got to get in there. She's in there replying. And honestly, this week, one of the coolest things was we had a guy who was like, hey, look, I might not renew. I think I'm going to cancel. We're like, that's cool. And then the next day they had a medical issue and they were like, oh my God, I have this issue. Here's my insurance. And like 5-6 people jumped in and they're like, go here. This is the place. They take your insurance, whatever. They got service. His wife had a medical issue. And the next day he sent to my wife, hey, I'm not going to cancel anymore. She's like, whatever you need, cancel, don't cancel. We're here for you. Like, we want to help. Like, it doesn't matter. Your $9 isn't going to change our lives, but if it's good for you to be part of this, great. But I love that. Not that we're like a medical savings thing, but that's not what it's about. But when you combine that kind of community that we built within it, it doesn't require me. It's not like, oh, it's Jamie. Like the community is so cool. And then we get together and you have the discounts to restaurants, the discounts on insurance, the discounts on legal services. Super cool. So let's tell the folks. Okay, we got O2 Olu. So tell the truth, folks. The economy is tanking and all the locals are losing jobs. O2, I'd love your data on that. You probably know a couple people that have. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'd love your data on that. Back to DR tomorrow. Can't wait to feel some heat and see some happy faces and hear scooters go by, watch the sun rest and buy eBay with a cold cerveza from Onos. Amazing, Stan. Enjoy. I'm from Long Island, New York, and I love it. Good for you, Yanetti. Thoughts on Cap Cana around Juanillo? Cap Cana's got a big future. Cap Cana's disorganized. Cap Cana there's infighting. There's, boy, if they can get their act together, they're sitting on a gold mine, but they need, in my opinion, to do two things. One, they need to decide what they are. I think they need to stop competing with Punta Cana, Airport, Punta Cana Village, Punta Cana Resort, all of the Westin, all of that. Stop competing with it. I think they need to complement it by becoming the Caribbean's premier sports and adventure destination. You got an incredible marina. You can go out and do fishing, spear fishing, whatever. You've got skate park. You've got Dorado. You've got all this amazing stuff. I think it should be that luxury sports and adventure. That's what I think it should be. That to me says the Ritz-Carlton is the right spot for that, because you got people, athletes, rich folks coming in, staying there, and then they go out and fish on a yacht out in the Caribbean. It's amazing. So Cap Cana's got a big future. Cap Cana's going to give you fits. If you buy now, you got to be patient, long term. Cap Cana has a build it, they will come mindset. Punta Cana has a build demand and then provide the supply and let it all go away quickly. That's how they operate. And it's why they're beating Cap Cana. But Cap Cana has some of the most beautiful real estate in the world. And if they get out of their way, they'll be fine. I think Sergio left. I should text him and see where the hell he went. Back to DR tomorrow. I'm from Long Island and I love it. Thoughts on Cap Cana? Sosua, it will eat all Punta Cana's candy. We'll see about that, Nelson. But it's two different places, two very different places. I'd like to build there. Can I do an off-grid solar house? Are there any companies that offer the installation? The guy that was just on here, Sergio, see, this is why he needs to be back on. Yeah, Rensa does all of that, and that's his solar company. I just got this image from him. Look at this. He goes, you have lint on your microphone. Like, just what a dick. Let me send him something. Why'd you leave? All right. People are talking solar. That'll get him back on here. He'll want to grift. But yeah, you could do something like that. Find the land and so on. Let's see what else. Do you have any take on Cabo Rojo with the new airport and cruise port? Yeah, look, Chris, if you watch me enough, you hear me say the same thing. So I'll be brief, because some people say like, oh, I hear this from you a million times. This might be new to you. I say follow the money, and I say Grupo Punta Cana is that money. One of them, one of the big ones. So when I say follow the money, I look at Zemi, a Hilton property owned by the CEO of Grupo Punta Cana in Miches, plus the Four Seasons in Miches, plus Dreams, plus Secrets, plus what's the other one that just built there? Marriott. There's Marriott property there, right? Like Miches. Grupo Punta Cana, follow the money. Punta Bergantin in Puerto Plata, follow that money. They're developing that. Follow the money. Rio San Juan. Alex Rodriguez's project with David Collado going there. Like, follow that money. Cabo Rojo, Grupo Punta Cana project, probably going to be their airport. I don't know that for sure. Just like they own the airport in Punta Cana, they'll probably be able to operate the airport in Cabo Rojo. Like, follow the money. The challenge, not even challenge, but the if I had to order it, I think Miches is first to blow up, just because it's very close to Punta Cana. It's more easily accessible. I think Rio San Juan is next because there's more access. I think Cabo Rojo is last in that order of three, because the roads are being built there, but it's harder to get to. It's further out. But anything beachfront, guys, in this country has a big future. You could buy in Punta Rusia if you can get the titling stuff right there. There's some problems there. You could buy in Punta Rusia, and I do see the lint now. That's crazy. You could buy in Punta Rusia and just wait for a while, and I think in 20 years you'll be extremely happy, because that area is gorgeous. I love going there. It's gorgeous and it's untouched. Nobody's there. Some people like that. I get it, but it will be. Gianetti, if you go to my YouTube channel, I just did a VIP day in the life in Punta Cana, and the Ritz-Carlton and Nina inside of it was all featured. So go check that out. Let's see what else we have. Sex workers should not be in your face and should not be celebrated. Travel BOV, I agree completely. Tammy, what do you think of cruise on land in Punta Cana? I'm going to pass on that, Richard. Where in DR can you buy a piece of land from 5K to 7K, anything near Punta Cana? I mean, you could buy like some blades of grass. I can go, look, I'll go out here and I'll grab some grass, $5,000. I'll hand that to you. I'll say, you own grass blades from Punta Cana. No. Miches right now. And again, the project I've invested in is actually Magua. It's like the town next to Miches. So like maybe a 15, 20-minute drive, right? Like Legacy Miches is like, it's kind of like everything's Punta Cana, even though right where I am is Punta Cana and the rest is Bávaro and Cortecito and Ubero Alto, but they call it all Punta Cana. Same thing. But like that land at the cheapest was $20K for 350 square meters. Maybe in some remote, maybe like Anamulia. I don't know. Sylvia, are you there? No, she's gone. Anamulia, near Higuey? Maybe. I don't know. But I don't even think there that you could buy land for that little. But somebody might know. I mean, I don't know every real estate transaction. Somebody might know, like, oh, I could get you 5K land in this part of the country. Who knows? Thoughts on Cap Cana around Juanillo? We talked about that. Sosua, it will eat all Punta Cana's candy. Candy's coming up. Halloween's coming up, everybody. Do you think a $450,000 apartment in Piantini is worth it? This area is one of the best of Santo Domingo. Yes. You're asking me? Yes. Guys, I don't know, man. Like, the issue with Piantini is they're building so much stuff and there's already bad traffic, right? So that's the issue. However, that's a premier that like there's not many nicer places in a city in the world than Piantini and Santo Domingo. And then if you look at what's around it, Naco, Bella Vista, all of it, like it's a nice area. So I wouldn't be upset if somebody said that apartment is $450,000. You can get cheaper, not in Piantini, but it's up to you, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I don't get mad at that price at all. Cruise on Land, we talked about, hey, I can't super chat. I don't know what super chat means. Do you think there is such a thing, too much construction? I came from by eBay just recently and saw a lot of construction. Short term, yes. Long term, no. Hemuel. So what I mean by this is, I talked about downtown Punta Cana. I think that's an oversaturated market. I think that's ripe for decline. A lot of listings online. People thought they were going to Airbnb. They can't. And then they're selling it plus all the new stuff coming up. So yeah, construction can get going too fast. Cana has seen this happen in cycles, right? It's done this over the years. But again, if you take a long-term view, I don't think there's too much construction for the eventual demand, but do I think that that some of the construction is way ahead of demand? Absolutely. I hope that helps. Buy eBay is growing like crazy. It's not an area I love going there. And if we were to buy there, I'd get one of those like $99,000 condos where we could just crash if we wanted to go for like a weekend. Like that would be it. It would just be like, I'm willing to spend 99 grand plus whatever the HOAs are a month to just to have a place. Like if that was something in my budget, I would do it. But other than that, I think by eBay is, as you described, I think that area will be attractive. People will love it. Dominican is a great beach. You know, a lot of people are going to cite the sargassum issue, but that's not for a forever thing. I want to be really clear on what I'm learning about sargassum. But right now it's pristine. It's beautiful there. I like it there. I think it's well below like even Cabo Rojo and everything. It's like way down the list on places that'll pop, in my opinion. It'll get demand. I don't mean like, I think it's on the order of places that interest me. It's way down the line is my point. May you do a video on the Ritz-Carlton info, please? Yeah, I just said I did one. I think maybe that was a prior question, or maybe I answered the same question. I don't know. Sorry, these are running together. As I mentioned by eBay, what are your thoughts about investment in the Dominican area? There's definitely the international taste and seems like a large European crowd. Same as I would say for by eBay. It's all kind of same to me. Yeah, here's the other thing to consider. La Romana is like an Higüey-like city. It's not a Santo Domingo-like city. Like doesn't have the, you say international, but like that's not a city you go into other than a baseball game or whatever in some little spots. It's much more disorganized, much more frantic, like an Higüey than it is like the nice areas of Santo Domingo. Okay, thanks, Jamie. Looking forward to joining the inner circle to get more good information. Appreciate you. Sure thing, Chris. Of course. I have 10 acres beachfront with 40 lots on it from $99K to $250K. Amazing, Matt. I started to buy properties in Cabarete and Cuentro Beach 3 years ago, and I regret not doing it way sooner. Yeah. That's a beautiful beach. That's one of the most beautiful beaches. My kids did, what is it called? Surf camp on that beach. So they love it there too. In Samana, right by the cruise port. I don't know what that is, Matt. The acres. I see. That's where it is. Got you. Meeches update. Taurian. I just did a video on Meeches. I don't have an update. It's one of those, if you're buying now, it's a future thing. Like this isn't like, oh, I'm going to buy and move there in 3 years. I mean, you can, there's a community there, but if you're looking for like that international feel to it or like developed communities, gated communities, that's going to be a while, but I like it. How do I send you my hard-earned money? How do you send me? Well, the only thing I do is the inner circle. So if you want to send $9 a month or $90 for the year, there's a link below in this video or on all of my videos right at the top. Join the DR inner circle. That's the way. That's the way. Super chat is a way viewers can send donations if they'd like for you. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to do that at some point. Sorry, Travel POV. I'm clueless. Maybe I'll have to add that next time. I don't know how to do that. Was there a way? Let me just see real quick. But no, I'm good. I appreciate that though. Thank you. I'd rather you join the inner circle. How's that? In Samana, right by the cruise port, where we talk about Snapchat, Super Chat. Where are we? Inner circle, the best community. Appreciate that. Mr. Ural. Who is that? I have to know you if you're in the inner circle. Nice. First person to say my name, how it was intended. It took me a second. Hemuel. I always see the J and I want to do the American J, Jamie, but Hemuel. Hemwell. I think I'm saying that right. Travel POV. He knows what super chats are. No, I don't. I didn't know what super chats were. I honestly don't. I don't know how you even like enable it. I do. Like, live is a newer thing for me. Like, again, I'm thinking of the future. People want human interaction in an AI world. So live is better than posted video, but I'm going to do both. But so I'm learning live. I have to get a better software for live and all of that. Any update on Pueblo de los Pescadores in Las Terrenas? None. Had high level government support, supposed to finish now, but not seeing any articles. LSH, it's a great question. I'm not sure. And Stan, you said thank you. You are welcome. All right, folks, we're over an hour. It's an hour 5. Appreciate you being here. Might be a video that pops up here if I am able to add an end screen after I post this for those of you that are watching it on replay. Hope this was helpful. I'll get the share working next time so I could show you the slides. So it's not just me talking about them. That really frustrated me. So I'll figure it out. But I want to do this every Friday at noon for you. And I hope it's of value. I'll summarize some news and then we'll do Q&A and that'll be our flow. So that is that. I appreciate all of you. Travel POV, you don't need to live in DR. It's more for information, investing. We have most people live in the states that are part of the inner circle, just for what that's worth. Yeah, hit the like button. Definitely hit the like button so people see this thing. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Appreciate all of you being here, and I'll see you guys all next week. See ya.